Well, good day, everybody. 15th of September 2023, and I got off on the metro stop Maladozhnya, and I'll show you around here. Actually, I should also mention, before I had my apartment, we were staying in some rental place, it's like they rent out an apartment for a night or for 3 nights or whatever. I stayed in one of those places there. Very difficult. A lot of those buildings, actually there's more than 3 or 4 what you're looking at there. And yeah, interesting area. It's not so busy with people getting off on the metro, that is, but a lot of cars coming by here. Look at this. Here's a deal by Burger King, as you can see that. It looks like a little over $1 for, it looks like 2 cheeseburgers, some kind of a cinnamon roll, and a cappuccino for like $1 something. I wonder what it costs in the West. I can almost bet you dollars to cinnamon rolls or dollars to donuts that it's going to cost you probably more than about $1.10. So it said 3 rubles up there, and $1 is about 2 rubles and 75 kopekas. So that's why I'm saying like about $1.10. Make sure I fix this camera. Looks like something is off here. Well, it's a lot of noise. I hope you can hear me. I should talk down into my microphone. I'm going over a bridge in a moment. Looks like I don't know what kind of a building that is. It looks like some kind of, I would originally say it's like an ice hockey stadium or something by the shape. But who knows? That's the only building there's building in the distance a little bit. Some kind of construction. Always quite a bit going on around Minsk, because we're struggling here. Because the economy is in tatters. I should respond. I saw Alex Christopoulos' video, which very, very good. I don't know if anybody has the ability to analyze news as good as Alex Christopoulos. So, pretty excellent. But anyway, let me get into the news and some of the other things. Some of the things I'll handle. It's similar to what he mentioned. I have a little bit of a different take on that. I was going to actually do a video yesterday, and some of the things I could have done the day before, but I don't know. I'm not in any rush. I don't really get paid for this. I'm not out for the money, as you all know. It's a little bit different. Do it for different reasons. One is for myself, of course, to keep up on things, and also to get better talking to a camera rather than, being kind of stupefied, like you're talking to nothing, talking like a stick. You have to get used to people looking at you. I'm not quite that far yet. It's a little bit of a different culture, as you know, here in Belarus. A lot of people will stare at you. I don't really know why that is, but because they're a well-mannered people, but maybe because it looks so unusual. Some of them, you look at them and they'll turn their head away. I would look too. I would look, but I just wouldn't be staring. I don't know what this is. Maybe, I'll tell you what, that now it's starting to look like it's going to be maybe a mini shopping mall over there. Because they wouldn't be developing a top floor like that if it was a ice hockey stadium or something. So with no more ado, let's get into the news a little bit here. Okay. And like I said, a lot of these notes are from video I was going to do yesterday, and I didn't, but they nabbed some terrorists in Russia trying to blow up power lines, and that's a different terrorist operation. So, but anyway, there. And the Ukrainian group divulged that they were trained by the UK, by Great Britain, to do that. And then, just today, it was announced, they know for certain now that this missile attack on Sevastopol on 2 ships. One of them, I guess, was a submarine. That was also with UK weapons. So I'll tell you what, UK is just going a little bit too far. You know, they have, I sometimes wonder if the I don't call it Russophobia, because it's not like they're afraid of Russia. On one side, of course, they are, and the other side, it's not really a fear. It's a hate. It's a Russia hate-obia. I don't know. Russia hate-obia. So they just hate Russians, and that goes back a long way. And I said, of course, one time in one video, if you see, one of the crowns of Queen Elizabeth was actually a crown that belonged to Catherine the Great, and the British stole that crown. They stole it from the Russians. I don't know what time in history, but it's a known fact. You can see, depictions of Catherine the Great wearing this crown, and then you can see photographs of Queen Elizabeth when she wore that crown. And I think that Catherine the Great lived much earlier than Queen Elizabeth, who recently died. As a matter of fact, it's almost the anniversary. I think she died, maybe it was a year ago, last week, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know, just suspecting that. But anyway, the big, Alex Cristoforo, I think he might have even used it as a clown world, and I was thinking most of the stories nowadays are all clown worlds anyway, so he can just make a clown world video and have some real stories at the end, because there's less of those than there is real clown worlds. So it's this Podolyak. Well, you watch his video, and I'll probably be saying nearly the same thing that he is. That Podolyak put his foot in his mouth, and in a sense, what he's saying, in true Nazi fashion, I said it, true Nazi fashion, he said that, very clearly that the people of India and China are of inferior intellect, and they don't have the ability to analyze what they're doing. And what he's actually referring to is that they should reject Russia and hate Russia like they do, and then come on the Ukrainian side. I don't really know what his analysis of China doing that. China and Turkey and India. Actually, Turkey is obviously part of that. I don't know what his reasoning behind that is, but that's what he says. Okay, here's a KFC over here. Let me show you. Some buildings, nice brick buildings. Well, it looks like they painted the brick. And of course, this is KFC over here. Let me just walk over here. Never been here really. I've actually been in this area and been across the street, but never been here. This must be it's a coffee shop. And of course, the days are getting colder. That's why I'm wearing a shirt over my t-shirt. It was raining yesterday. We didn't have rain for quite some time. Oh, it looks like more shops here. I'll just walk down. Like I said, I've never been in this area. Who knows? Maybe I'll discover something interesting. So, Podolyak, let's see. Anyway, he wants India and China and Turkey to dance to the Ukrainian tune. And I'm wondering what kind of advantage they will have for doing that when Russia is booming like nobody's business, and Ukraine is failing in virtually all ways, not just militarily, economically. And Ukraine is, I hate to say this, economically, for the most part, they've kind of always been a failed state. They've never ever been able to exist on their own except for getting handouts. During the time of the Soviet Union, Ukraine needed handouts constantly. And even after the Soviet Union, I don't even know why, as Alexander Lukashenko says, it has tremendous potential, tremendous resources, but for some odd reason, Ukraine is, well, let's just be honest, we know the reason. It's just the mass corruption there, and everybody, and Ukraine, unfortunately, has been a perpetually corrupt country. Nothing but corruption. If they didn't run on corruption, they wouldn't run at all, apparently. Very, very sad, you know. The only solution that I might even mention, very strange, is, and I wouldn't want it to really happen, is after Ukraine is defeated, which will happen at some point in time, I'm not saying that the hostilities will end, but there will be some sort of a defeat at some point, whether it be a surrender or just a to the point where they can't really function anymore. But what I would say is you need somebody like Lukashenko to go in there, and of course getting rid of all the corruption and making it a viable state. I don't know if Lukashenko is young enough to be able to do that within a certain amount of time, because you can't do that overnight. It'll take at least a decade. Whoa. Some guy speeding in here. I was just trying to see what this kind of a shop is. It's some sort of a little coffee hut. Shalom Grill, Cafe Shalom Grill. So it looks like Israeli. Written in Hebrew up here. You don't see that very often here. That would be interesting to go there. They even have beer there. Hey, boy. Yeah. A lot of dogs are kind of funny. I've known even German Shepherds, you know, they say, oh, if I wasn't behind this cage, I'd be tearing you to pieces. But as soon as you open it up, they run off somewhere. Even German Shepherds. You have to really piss them off before they really are going to attack you. Matter of fact, why didn't I look and see what's an automotive place, that parking lot? Like I said, I'm on a voyage of discovery as well here. Yes, Ukraine, always been the spoiled child of Russia. And then, of course, they cry and complain and say, oh, Russia's treated us badly. So there's all this talk. And I have this later in my notes, but let me just go into that right now. That Ursula von der Leyen, crazy line, pirate, if whatever you want to call her, she's saying that the Europeans should get ready. Comes a Chevy here. The Europeans should get ready to accept more membership into the European Union. Another Chevy. Looks like almost the same car over here, strangely enough. Now here is a Minsk bus, made in Minsk. Looks like it's fairly new model. Look at the beautiful thing. Made right here in Minsk, 2 buses. This is looks like a kind of a city tour bus, not for long tours apparently, and not for not for the streets. I mean, running around like local, you say transit. It looks like it's oh, look at this one. That's for the VIPs. The covered windows. And what the heck? Oh boy, what did I get into here? Looks like a military type of place. I shouldn't be filming this. So that's the end of that. Oh, more here. I won't film them because they're looking at me. So where in the heck did I get to here? So anyway, if you're looking at Ukraine and they've always got this preferential treatment their entire existence, at least in the modern world. And if they don't get what they want, you know, they kick, they scream, and they throw their toys against the tram. And it's just like what's going on now with this grain deal. Poland and I think Bulgaria and Slovakia and other countries, they don't want to take this grain because, for one thing, it's very inferior and it's very cheap and it puts their farmers out of business. And Poland has got an election coming, so they have to look like, and of course a lot of the support for this, what was it, Justice Party or thing came from the farmers, so they have to try to at least keep that kind of support. So they act like I don't know, if it was after the election, they might just all of a sudden just take this Ukrainian grain. But anyway, the day of that, it runs out today, by the way, the 15th of September. And if these countries don't take the Ukrainian grain, the Ukrainians are going to take them to take them to court, to the World Trade Organization. And so kicking, screaming, throwing their toys against the train. You know, what about Russia though? You don't take Russian products. Wonder why Russia doesn't do that. Can they go to the World Trade Organization? What about other countries? They don't do that. I don't know. I wonder what kind of grounds they have. Gosh, another military building. I don't know. Hope I'm not wandering into some place where I'm going to get tackled or something here. I doubt it. No. But can you imagine Ukraine with their attitude? Can you imagine them with a nuclear bomb? And of course, they've said in the past, high government officials, matter of fact, of the highest government officials have said that if they had a nuclear bomb, they would be bombing Moscow. So do you want them to have nuclear weapons? My God. Gosh, more military coming out of other buildings here. But I'll tell you what, looks like it needs new windows here, but we didn't have buildings like this nice, when I was in the military. The American ones. So it looks like this whole place is sort of an open type military base type thing, but I don't want to start looking too close. I don't want to, matter of fact, maybe I shouldn't be going through here. I don't want the Ukrainians to be looking at this either. So yesterday, Blinken, he announced it's the end of the Cold War era. It's kind of strange. No, it's the end, it's the end of the post-Cold War era. So I guess that means we have the post-Cold War era. And the Cold War was just actually a post-World War II era. So it's the post-World War II era right now, is what we have. Some building, people sitting out on a balcony up there, you can't see it. So the post-World War II era, and I don't really know what he's getting at. Maybe he's saying it's the end of the, so again, it's the Cold War is on again, I guess is what it's saying. And even Alex Christoforo was talking about, again, the Iron Curtain, but I wouldn't say it's not an Iron Curtain. And well, there's so much to get into about all of this sort of thing. It's let me see what I wrote here. I should just kind of read it off my notes. Essentially, the Soviet Union, they gave up the Warsaw Pact. So in other words, the Soviet Union just basically shut down. And the Warsaw Pact was seen as the, I don't know, what do you call it, the antithesis or something of NATO, or the mirror side, but on the east, from east to west. But NATO never shut down. NATO just keeps on expanding. And as you see, the EU believes that they have to keep on expanding. But if they take Ukraine in, it's very obvious, they're going to collapse. I bet you Russia is just tickled pink, and they would love Ukraine to go into the EU. That's why I think Putin has said that he has nothing against Ukraine going into the EU, because if Poland is now sucking the majority of the EU revenues from the EU, Ukraine is going to quadruple that. And of course, after this military operation, it would be far, far more than just quadrupling it, because you have to rebuild everything. But again, as you realize, they don't really have any money. They can't rebuild it. So Ukraine is going to always be a basket case if they stay with the West. If Russia does not actually take good control of the West, of the Ukraine, it's always going to be that way. I think, I don't know if it's maybe the business is in here. I believe, and I'm not positive, that they make wood burning stoves, this company. There's another one over there, this Tiom, and I think that's some company that makes furniture. But I'll just show you here in the parking lot. Here we got a Lexus and a BMW, probably the owners, and of course other cars. Because we're so poor here. There's a Mercedes over there. As you know, it's just tough here. Nice brand new Volvo over here. Show you here. Anyway, you ever get the feeling that somebody has been lying to you? You know that saying, fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me? Well, you know, if they've been lying to you about so many other things, what makes you think they're telling you the truth about what things are like in Belarus? So, and there might just be some platforms coming up, maybe even from some native speakers of the language of English, getting something set up even here in Belarus that will start to maybe tell you things a little bit more truthfully. Let's see if that happens. Let's see if that happens sometime this winter. Maybe on some sort of a platform similar to a little bit of a Redacted, little bit of Joe Rogan type. I'm not saying Jim Rogan's going to be there, but a little bit of some sort of platforms like that. Let's see if that kind of thing happens, and see if I'm maybe can get involved. Maybe even a subscriber can actually be the one, the impetus, the brains, and the resources, and put all that together. Yeah, well, we'll see if that sort of thing can happen here. So, hint. Anyway, let me get further on into the news here, and you know, with a different a different yardstick and a different perspective. You know, you can look at this thing like what Blinken's talking about in many different ways. He said a lot of things. I sometimes, anytime I listen to these jokers, it's just there's no real facts and no real truth. You know, you just get their opinion and know to a certain extent on where they're coming from, and sometimes you can get some sort of a clue as to what they're going to be doing in the near future. But I don't know about this with Blinken, so you should look that up yourself. I don't know. And then they have all their little rules-based order and all these imaginary things. Most of it's, I don't know, when it's so much laced with lies and untruths and exaggerations, how are you going to make anything out of what these people say? You know, the only thing you can really do is start looking at events, what happened in the world, and then just sort of go from there. You know, you can look at the trends and what's happened in the past, regardless of what all these people say, and just go by what they've actually done. I think Jesus said something like that, right? Know them by their fruits. You know, you look at a lot of the wisdom of Jesus and all this stuff. A lot of this stuff comes true. You know, there's certain things of what Jesus said, and I don't know if everything that's attributed to Jesus in the Bible. You know, there's some other brilliant things in the Bible. Like, I'm not a religious type of guy, really, but I know wisdom when I hear it, and I know that some of the things, you know, that Jesus put out are really incredibly wise. Some of the most wisest statements I've ever heard. But let's not get into that. But yeah, like I talked about the World Trade Organization already. Well, one analysis, and I wrote it in my notes too, you know, that Alex Cristoforo got, is, you know, in a roundabout way, without saying it, Antony Blinken is saying, welcome to the multipolar world. But he actually has it right. You know, and we're talking about this Iron Curtain, and in truth, it's like a bipolar world. Alex Cristoforo said it, and that's absolutely right. And I, in my great lack of wisdom, I couldn't think of what I'm really looking at it. Like I said, I was thinking of a divide, like an iron curtain, but in truth, it's not like an iron curtain. It's a bipolar world. In truth, there's one side and led by the United States, which is unipolar on that side, and then you have the multipolar side, which is of course China and Russia, and now I guess the African Union is one part, and India as well. So that sounds like multipolar to me when there's more than two. September 26th is coming up. And what happened in September 26th a year ago? That's when the US blew up the pipeline between Russia and Germany. I wonder if something's going to happen on that university of the 26th. So we have to kind of watch the news. You know, you remember George Bush the first when he declared a a new world order, and I think it was 1991 when he was the president, on September 11th, 1991, and then on September 11th, 2001 is when we had the World Trade Center thing come up. Very coincidental. To me, there's something to gain from that. I'm not quite sure what it is. It's sort of a weird parking lot here. Look at this. I've never seen a Mercedes like this. Like I said, I'm not getting out too much. I'm here in Belarus. But again, like I say, you get a good mixture of a lot of different types of cars while you're over here. So, yeah, I'm wondering if we're going to get something. You know, they always have this expression, the October surprise. Are we going to get something on the 26th to commemorate the blowing up of the pipelines, or are we going to get an October surprise right afterwards? Yeah. And you can't really go into the news very much over more than a few days without talking about Elon Musk. Putin praised him in the Eastern Economic Forum, and Ukraine has been cursing him, of course, you know, with this deal about this Starlink. And apparently, I'm seeing this news that says that Elon Musk turned over Starlink to the Pentagon. But then I'm hearing from one of my subscribers who's very well informed, and he was saying no, they are just starting a new part of Starlink, or maybe he turned that part over in Ukraine over to the Pentagon, and now they're going to be calling it Star Shield. But anyway, apparently there's something starting up called Star Shield, and that, of course, is using the infrastructure apparently of what Elon Musk started. So we'll see what's going on. We'll maybe hear more about that in the very near future. Like I said, a very well-informed subscriber, and maybe he's just ahead of the 8 ball right now. He reads a lot of news, so we'll find out. But anyway, the original plan, you know, or the original event, you know, that Elon Musk, he sort of disconnected Starlink at that time. It was when Ukraine was initiating an attack, a major attack on Russia in the Crimea, and Elon Musk stated that he didn't want to see and he didn't want to be involved in starting World War III. So that's one reason why he disconnected that. Yeah, he was suspecting that Russia's response would lead to World War III. And now the United States court system is threatening Elon Musk with treason, of all things. And treason, and Elon Musk is saying, well, I don't take orders from Zelensky. He's not my president. He said if Joe Biden would have told him what to do, he probably would have left things as they are, or he would have reinitiated Starlink so the Ukrainians could use it. But that didn't happen, at least not at that time. Now I guess the Russians probably a little bit prepared for something in case the Ukrainians try it again. Maybe they saw via satellite what was being initiated. Yeah. So, and another thing is, a lot of this meeting with Kim Jong-un, you know, it could be to do with, and it probably is, to do with the ammunition. That Russia could use it, even though Russia can produce as much as they want, you know, to handle what's going on in Ukraine. But apparently North Korea has huge stores of ammunition, artillery ammunition. I mean, massive. enough, I guess, what was it, for an 8 million man army? Yeah, 8 million man army. And all of those shells, they have it was listed as 3 different sizes, and all 3 of those sizes fit in the guns, the artillery guns of Russia. So, surprise, surprise on that one. And there are things that Kim Jong-un wants, of course, like more advanced satellites and other systems, missile systems, I suppose. And since the United States obviously is doing some nasty things to Russia, maybe it's going to be done in return. And I really don't think that Kim Jong-un wants to threaten South Korea. But of course, South Korea is a puppet of the United States. So that's left to your own speculation. I'm just throwing that out there now. And so the satellite know-how and probably food, I would say. Some people are saying that they're starving in North Korea. That's probably not true. Yeah. And Alex Cristoforo, he was talking about, now I'm into the Alex Cristoforo. He was talking about Ursula von der Leyen being really pissed off. She's incredibly pissed off that China is producing very good electric cars for a much lower price than the European Union. And what he didn't say, and what I would say, I mean, Alex Cristoforo, but and I'm sure he's thought about this, you have to see what's going on right now. This is like a perfect storm, Who has the better productive capacity, China or Germany or the European Union? Who can produce more, faster, better, and cheaper? Not very difficult on that one. On top of that, who has much cheaper energy? Oh, China again. So you're going to start seeing more and more of this energy crunch as the winter comes on for the European Union, and everything is going to get more expensive. And when the energy costs go up, people are going to start wanting more for their wages as well, because they have to heat their house, they have to power their automobiles to get to work, and they're going to find out that things are getting harder and harder to make it. So they're going to want more money, and that's going to again raise costs. So this is like the costs are going to go much higher. They'll have to find cheaper ways to make things to either compete with the Chinese. But I'm sure Ursula von der Leyen, what her solution is going to be into the European Union. I'm sure you probably can't hear this, windy. Into the European Union is tariffs on anything to do with Chinese vehicles, probably, and maybe even all Chinese products. So when these tariffs are kicking in, then China is also going to be spreading their cars into more markets around the world, just like Russia did with their gas and oil when the United States blew up the pipeline. So this is all very fascinating stuff. And these cars, like I said, they're much less expensive. Anyway, life is going to get far more expensive, especially like what Ursula von der Leyen says, we have to expand the EU. And it's very shocking. So, and Alex Cristoforo, he said, well, that means, what she's telling all the citizens of Europe to prepare for an expansion of the European Union. And what she's actually saying is get ready to get much poorer. And Alex Cristoforo, he probably hit it right when he's saying that the hierarchy, the big shots in the European Union are going to get much richer, and all the people are going to get much poorer, because that's how that always works. They're not going to take a cut in pay. They're not going to get less. A lot of their bills are paid for by the state. I've known politicians and things myself, and I see they even get their heating bills in their house paid for by the government. And as you know, like even in the White House, that's government housing. That's government housing, so that they don't have to pay for that. Trump didn't have to pay for that, and neither did Obama or does anybody else, just like their houses for a lot of the big shots. So look at Land Rover, Great Britain. And what is this? Some kind of a Chinese vehicle. Let me look at the back. I'm just curious. Sorry. Wow, looks at the mirror even. The mirror folds in automatically, I guess. That's a BG. I think that's a Chinese car. It doesn't look terrible. Now, doesn't that look terrible? Look at that. I'll bet those mirrors fold in automatically when you shut your car off. And when you turn your car on, some cars do that, I guess. EU enlargement. If you are getting attacked, remember the old days when you saw these old movies and you see like a big wagon train and they're getting attacked by the Indians. Woo, 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 woo. So they circle the wagons and then they put all the children and everything inside. So what you don't do, you don't spread out. You pull in as much as possible so that you can defend a lot easier. So it really makes you wonder, like the European Union is spreading out. And the bigger they are, the harder they fall. So I think their strategy is actually a little bit off. You can produce a lot more prosperity staying the same size they are, but why don't they get their own house in order before they think they're going to expand? And it's exactly the opposite. Their house has gotten into disorder. And Russia, as you know, they just surpassed Germany economically. And I would be willing to bet that probably in about 5 years, maybe within 5 years, Russia is going to surpass the entirety of Europe economically. Interesting. Let's find out if I'm right about that. Of course, you'll forget this in 5 years when it actually happens. But none of these people in the European Union know what's in store for them. And like I say, the biggest amount of revenues during the Soviet Union was taken by Ukraine. And for the European Union at the moment, I think the largest amount of revenues, when you're looking at which countries get the revenues, I'm not talking about the social programs in any particular country or anything, but which country gets the largest amount of revenues, it's Poland. And then when Ukraine comes in, oh Lord, if they take Ukraine in. Moldova is also kind of a basket case. This is really going to be something. And that's what I say when I'm so amazed about Belarus. When you're looking around you, this is a country that has practically no natural resources. It doesn't have a seaport, so it's not on the sea. And yet they do very well. Sure, they're not a huge economic power, but things are getting better here in Belarus. And they have been since at least the year 2000 when I first came here. So I just know that from my own experiences. So the European Union doesn't know what they're in for when Ukraine comes in. One of the most corrupt countries on planet Earth for many decades. Let's see what happens. And then they're going to start crying and screaming and throwing their toys when they're not getting. And I'll tell you what, you might even see this. If they pull this off, Ukraine is going to be taking more revenue than all countries in the European Union combined. So, and that's not going to be anywhere near enough for Ukraine. You watch and see. Also, I think it was a Clown World from Alex Christofor. He was talking about Sean Penn, and Sean Penn is kind of like a madman, and he was coming up with some really weird stuff. Will Smith, if Zelensky, it doesn't make any sense, and I don't even know why this is published. If Zelensky was there, and I don't even know where, that Will Smith would not have slapped Chris Rock. So, whatever that means. I wonder what kind of car this is. A lot of people curious here. So, Sean Penn, and he's making a documentary, and it's called Superpower. I wonder if that has anything to do. I don't have any idea what the heck that has anything to do with. It makes you wonder what this documentary is going to be. It's all about Zelensky, and he apparently worships Zelensky. You know, he should watch that little series that Scott Ritter made of Zelensky. And he'd probably say it's all lies, lies, lies. So, oh, and a subscriber, they sent me a video from Neil Oliver. If you know who he is, you know, he talks very philosophical guy, he puts everything very well. He's got a Scottish accent, so for some of us Americans, you know, sometimes it might be hard to catch a lot of the things he says, but very intelligent guy. And he's saying what's going on, like right now, that with like things like this World Economic Forum, and then they're going to come up with some kind of a CBDC, bank currency, crypto sort of a deal, which, you know, and this is obviously going to be in the West, so they don't even have to print any money. And to a large extent, they've already got this going here. A lot of the money exists on a computer. It doesn't exist in reality anyway. So, but they want to make it for the rest of us too. And it's more like a part of this cashless society, I believe. Anyway, it's going to be real hell. He said it's not going to work, of course. Maybe it won't. But a lot of this stuff that's going out right now, he called this. First, I'll say his words, and then you can fill in all the blanks and describe this on your own, because it's very. He said, "What's going on is a geek's fantasy playing out on a global scale." And what he's talking about, like I said, is part of this is this banking thing right now. And actually, I think he means everything. He's also talking about, you know, these provocations that cause Russia to defend their country by going, you know, into Ukraine like that. And he said what's going to be happening is it's mostly this globalism thing, you know, and they're seeking domination. And of course, this is all being played out not by the nations actually themselves or their leaders. It's actually, and he didn't say it, but it's real fascism. This is real fascism, the marriage of corporate money to government power. And it's all these rich guys. You know, some software engineer might get into vaccines or something like that, and, you know, and before that start some virus so that they can make a lot of money with vaccines. They might buy a lot of farmland and then not farm there, make everybody get into artificial meat and beef and plants. So maybe it's going to be Soylent Green. Remember that? I think it was Charlton Heston's a movie. A lot of this stuff coming true from all of these 1984 and all this sort of thing. And, you know, even this Soma, what was it from Brave New World? People taking the Soma pills, you know, talk about the pharmaceutical industry. That's very, very fascinating stuff when you think about it. Draw some kind of a parallel. Make your own book. But, you know, Neil Oliver was referring to a lot of things like climate lockdowns and pandemics, food shortages, energy blackouts, a financial crash. And what they think, and it makes a lot of sense what Neil Oliver is saying, that what a lot of these people are, these big shots, or these he called them geeks, and maybe you can call them the masters of the universe, you know, and, you know, who are this, like, we will put the computer chips in the brains, and we will use COVID to make a great reset, and then I can get some homes, get some houses, give me some money, and all of these. Oh, I'm here to save lives. So I can put my fingers together, but I got to hold this stick here. You know who that is. Funny haircut, geek. Comes from my hometown. Software. So anyway, these people apparently they want, you know, they're having their dream of being in control in the future, and they want all of us to be completely, well, according to Neil Oliver, and it's probably true, we will all be dependent upon them for everything, food and medical and everything. You will own nothing and be happy. That's what a bunch of crap, you know. And it's strange because, you know, you have another very rich person Elon Musk, he seems to be quite a bit different than that. You know, he's a very rich guy and he's doing a lot of interesting things, but none of his things seem to be going in the same direction as some of these other masters of the universe. So, really, really something. So it makes me really wonder what Elon Musk, they're probably going to try to assassinate the guy. Dear Lord, don't let that happen. But anyhow, that's really about all I have to say today, and it's a long enough video anyway, and it's a lot of kind of rambling and talking, and you know, I don't really organize stuff and take a lot of time and put it together and come up with so many kind of fancy types of words or things like that. Not so much anyway, but you know what it is, just trying to look at this stuff, and all of us need to, you know, hold together and try to, you know, stay friends with each other that are all on the same side of humanity. Like, you know, I don't believe a lot of the stuff, like I say, about Gonzalo Lira, and you know, and we shouldn't be fighting each other. Let the other side fight each other. Let them try to fight over the spoils whenever they can. But normally, I'll tell you, that's another thing. I should mention that. You know, I've been around a lot of these big rich people. I'm talking like some millionaires. I haven't, like I said, I haven't really been around billionaires, but I've been around, you know, some people have like 2 million, and then of course they know people that are billionaires. And then I see how they act, and they react around them, and it's like they're how do I say it? What they admire, what a millionaire with $3 million admires, the ones they admire most are the ones that have more money than they do. So that's normally what they go by, and it takes some real negative stuff in their book for them not to like somebody that has a lot more money. So whoever has the most money deserves the most respect according to a lot of these people. And you know, most of us, we don't necessarily go by that. You know, you look at some people maybe that have done the best things for humanity and try not to screw things up for everybody, like Elon Musk, for example, and we admire people like that. And then there are other people, like maybe some software engineers that are heavily involved in sticking needles in everybody's arms. You know, we kind of don't like those sort of people because they're just messing around with us, and their whole goal is more money and more power rather than doing anything good. You know, go ahead and get more money if you want, but don't be working against all the rest of us. But anyway, that's about all I have to say today, and I appreciate you joining me, and yeah, I'll see you on the next one. Thanks again. Bye-bye.